What's going on, guys? Welcome to All Sports Best. I'm Trey Gonzalez, and today we have two special guests on. A long time coming, by the way, from the sports medicine team, the trainers for the Carlsbad Cavemen and Cave Girls over at Carlsbad High School, Luke Archuleta and Derrick Merkey. Thank you guys for being on.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
I think you guys are always, of everybody else, the most outfitted in the best stuff from Carlsbad. You've got a hat that's like, I don't know, 20 people have.
Yeah.
You guys, but you guys hooked me up with the hoodie this year, so I appreciate that.
Oh,
We're trying
course.
to.
That's cool. Yeah.
Now that we can actually order stuff and
Yeah,
all
that's
that.
pretty sweet. Yeah. So, do you guys have any say in some of the stuff that some of the teams do?
Like what they wear?
Yeah, like that hat you got on right now.
No, honestly, Greg gave me that hat.
Okay.
As far as teams go, they all pick their own gear.
Yeah.
But they hook us up, so we usually
You do get hooked up
yeah
for sure.
We go
we'll
with
wear
the
what they
flow,
want to. Yeah.
Whatever they want.
Any shoes ever?
Not yet.
No.
No.
Coming soon.
Coming soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, we bought our ones 2 years ago, and
Yeah.
then Rylan actually wanted to buy ones for the girls basketball team. So I think we influenced that a little bit for the coaching staff, which was cool. But then they, went Rover.
Like
got some
Jordan
good
ones?
stuff.
Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. Okay. Very cool. So do you guys color coordinate ahead of games?
We try to, yeah. Especially like most of the time, like especially for game day, like we have a lot of the same stuff. So we're like, hey, we're gonna wear this.
Yeah.
But usually the coaches will be like, hey, we're wearing this and this and this. And we're like, oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Usually we don't have the same shoes, but we'll just wear.
Uh-huh.
Usually just have the same shoes to match.
Sure. It looks, because like one of the things I've noticed about trainers, and I'll just ask you, what's up with khakis? Khakis is like a staple, right?
Yeah.
You guys don't do it though.
That's like old school, like 80s. They'd have like their khaki shorts with like their big bulky jackets and their
Yeah.
fanny packs.
So like a tucked in polo and like the long white socks. And it's like, oh, I
Yeah.
can't get behind it.
For us, I think this generation, we just definitely, we don't like khakis.
No.
But even like in college, it was like required. We had to wear like khaki pants,
Yeah.
like to a setting or a game or something. And I hated it.
Yeah, you'll see us in khakis for boys basketball. Zum likes his khakis, so
I was gonna.
we'll throw them on.
I guess I'm a khakis guy. I didn't know it was such a hated. Piece
I don't
of,
mind it. I also had to wear khakis like all of my life.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Uniform in high school
Oh,
and then
yeah.
in college and then everything like that. So I'm like, if I could venture out here and there sometimes, then I try my best to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I also think it definitely depends on the school. I just don't think blue and khaki go well together.
Okay.
And being
Really?
blues are a color, I think blue and black, blue and gray, I think that's just, it looks better in my opinion.
Interesting. Okay. But see, like, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's khakis are kind of like the sweatpants
Yeah.
of all pants, right?
Yeah, that's true.
You kind of
They
like
go with
you can
anything.
show what you got. You can show your stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go ahead and get on into it. You guys are both trainers for the high school. Obviously, you had to have a love for sports to begin with. So give us your sports background so we kind of know a little bit about where it started.
Go ahead.
So I played baseball, basketball growing up. We didn't have an athletic trainer growing up, so I messed up my ankles quite a bit and had in and out of PT, which
Oh, okay.
sucked. And then I got to NMSU, and I was like, oh, this is cool. You get to be with the athletes. It's one of those things like you're ready to give up the game, but you still want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And I knew I wanted to do something medical, so I was like, this is cool. And so that's kind of how I got into it, and haven't looked back since.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing. I played basketball and I ran track in high school. It was funny though, because when I was younger, my brother, he's like 10 years older than me. One of his closest friends did athletic training at UNM, and he worked with the men's basketball team, and that's when they were like really good. And he got all the gear from it.
That's
and so
sick.
in my head, ever since I was young, I was like, damn, that would be so cool to do. So same thing, like we had an athletic trainer sometimes. He owned his own clinic, so he'd just be there for games occasionally. He wouldn't be there all the time. But once I got to college, I didn't really know what it all entailed. I just knew it was like sports and, be on the sideline and stuff. And
Yeah.
it's kind of a wake-up call at first, but then I just kind of fell in love with it. And like Derrick said, I haven't looked back since.
The kinesiology program at NMSU is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty inclusive. Like you guys, it's like a tight knit family.
Yeah, it really is. Because I had a couple buddies who got their degree in kinesiology, and then I was like one of the ones that did the athletic training program, which is stemmed off of it. But yeah, it was cool. You knew everybody in it, all the teachers.
Sure.
So
They really cared too. Like they just wanted to make sure you succeeded.
Yeah.
And it was like a lot of the classes were pretty small as far as like population goes.
yeah, that was nice.
So it felt a lot more personal rather than just sitting like in a 200 kid lecture and
Yeah.
taking notes.
You guys have a lot of classes in the God, what is it called? The rec
Fulton.
area. What is it called?
The Fulton.
The Fulton. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But then also, where's the AC?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
You guys had a lot in there too, right?
Yeah, we had a lot of like prereqs in there, like biomechanics, what are the other ones? Like kinesiology 1,
Exercise physiology,
Yeah.
like all those classes.
like that's where our prereqs were, and then all of our like classes directly related to athletic training were in the Fulton Center.
Oh, okay.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, because when I think about that, I just think about one of like my failures from college. I was in kinesiology for a bit, and then anatomy hit me, and I was like, dang, I cannot remember anything. So that was like, I was like, I'd never really had a really big failure in school. And then that was just a wake up call. Like, it's just, I can't do it, I guess. You can't juggle anything with that program really until you get past certain, I mean, even, I don't know, you guys had to be on, you guys, it's a lot of time.
Yeah,
that
honestly,
class was tough. A&P 1 was tough, especially with
Yeah.
Dr. Burning. I remember,
it was like a 7 a.m.
yeah,
lecture.
7:30 a.m. lecture.
And he
like,
refused to ever change it. Like it was set in stone, 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Like, oh God.
if you didn't turn in your assignment or whatever, like at 7:30 on the dot or before, like 10 points off or something
Right.
like
There's
that.
like no wiggle room at all.
I have a funny story. I would get to class like early. I was just scared. I was terrified of that
Sure.
class. Got to school, turned in my paper, and then Dr. Burning came in, class started, and then a police officer walked in. And he's like, can I talk to Dr. Burning real quick? So they took him out. He came back in. The officer had to like arrest one of the students on campus. I don't know what for, but she was like, you can arrest me, whatever. Just please give this paper to Dr. Burning.
No way.
Yeah. So she got her work turned in. I think she was more scared about that than getting arrested. It was funny. It was
Yeah,
crazy.
'cause
She went to
he-
prison for life, but she got an
yeah.
A.
Yeah, she got an A at least.
Yeah, he had military background, so he was just very strict on those rules.
Yeah.
Which it was a good thing. We worked hard for it. But yeah, that was a tough class, especially A&P, the lab with it too.
Yeah.
That one was tough as well.
I bet. Yeah. No. New Mexico State. You guys both chose that. You guys were both from North.
Yeah.
Didn't go to UNM. Why is that? Great choice, by the way.
I can't stand UNM. To
Okay.
be honest with you. Personally, growing up just outside of Albuquerque, like I don't like Albuquerque, the area, to begin with.
Okay.
And so the idea of going to school in Albuquerque really wasn't nice for me. And then also it's like, at that age, you're like, I kind of want to get away from my parents, but close enough to where I can drive home on the weekends, if I wanted to, have them give me groceries or something like that. So that's why I chose NMSU. Plus, I really liked Las Cruces. Went there a couple times and still love it. Awesome city.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Excuse me. Same thing. Like I said, when I was growing up, I was like, just for basketball, like UNM, I was like, oh, dude, like they're so good. Like I was a huge fan.
Yeah.
And then the older I got, because my mom went to NMSU, and I was telling her, I was like, oh, I want to go to UNM, like not even thinking, just because they're good at basketball or whatever. And she's like, you don't want to, trust me. Like I'd never been to Las Cruces. So she was like, let me just take you down there one time, see the campus and stuff. And I went once and I was like, I fell in love with it. Like come senior year when you like apply for colleges or whatever, I didn't even apply to UNM or
Really?
anything.
Oh,
I just
wow.
applied to NMSU and I was like, this is where I'm going to go. And it was one of the best decisions I've ever made.
It's
so
like
far.
a hometown
Yeah.
college feel. I don't know how to
Exactly.
explain it, but
Yeah.
it's just, it feels like home.
Yeah.
Plus the weather down there, you can't beat that. I hate the cold. I hate the snow. And
Yeah.
so palm trees, sunlight, like 360 days a year. You can't beat it.
No.
It's awesome.
And like
Yeah.
you said too, like even the town like takes care of the students. Like they have student discounts like almost everywhere you go.
Yeah.
And like if you're even, because I lived over there like during the summers and it's like a ghost town because everybody's gone, but it's nice. I love Las Cruces.
I have so many questions for you guys about like when you went to school, if things were still there and like if they were still popular, but I'll have to get back into that. So you got to work with the NMSU athletic program, and there's a lot of different sports that are involved in that, right?
Yeah.
So you guys were both in football, because I think all of the trainers have to do football at some point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, usually you have to do football like your first semester just to kind of get your feet wet. And usually you're just kind of a water boy, like, hey, this is how things go.
This is how like the sink works.
Yeah,
like, just
pretty
turn it
much.
on,
Like it's a lot of work. You're just handing out water. You're going to be here forever. It's like
Yeah.
get used to it. Most people either quit after that first semester or they stick it through and they're like, okay, this is awesome.
Because it's a lot of hours.
Yeah,
yeah.
You have to be up there like 2-a-days, 5 in the morning. Even like summer practices, you had to be there, which kind of sucked. But,
Yeah.
And then you had to do, I think, 2 female sports were required. So I worked volleyball and I think actually I worked volleyball both semesters.
Okay.
Because they had some turnover in coaches and stuff, and so trainers were being moved around. So I just kind of hopped with it. And then you had to choose like an upper extremity and a high school, for example. So I did Las Cruces High, and then baseball, and that's actually where me and Luke met. And so
okay.
we got to work baseball together, which was awesome.
When you say upper extremities, what are the options there? It's baseball and
Like volleyball, softball, swim.
but for boys,
Pretty much it's just
baseball.
pretty much just
Yeah.
baseball, actually. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And then you kind of have those like one-offs, like for example, the baseball athletic trainer at the time, he also has to work with cheer and dance,
Okay.
or girls basketball has to do golf. And so you kind of have those one-off sports that fortunately you don't pay much attention to because there's not a lot of injuries, but you still get to be there and kind of work with them a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing. Like my first, because it's like a different sport each semester, so you rotate. So my first semester I was with football, and like Derrick said, it's just straight grunt work. Like your first year, because you don't know anything. Like I don't blame them. Like
Sure.
you just help out and you try to learn as much as you can. It's kind of on you, which I think is a good way to go about it. So I learned a lot with football. Kind of made me realize I don't want to work football at a D1 or professional level because it's nonstop all the time.
It's also very humbling when you're a first year and they're like, hey, tape the starting quarterback's ankle. And then he looks at it, he's like, what is this? And you're like, dang.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe I shouldn't
They'll
do
let
this.
you know.
Yeah. No, it's rough. But I think they kind of do that on purpose to kind of, humble you a little bit.
But yeah, I did football. That was fun. You get to travel with the team and everything like that, which is awesome. Next semester I did baseball. Like I said, that's how me and Derrick met. That's where we met KJ, too, the JV coach. That's how we met him. After that, I was at Oregon Mountain High School for a year, but then it was kind of rough because as soon as I was going into my junior year, COVID hit. So we couldn't really do rotations, and it was kind of like, I don't know, it was weird for everybody.
Yeah.
But then I was able to work volleyball, but they didn't have a season, so I was just working practices pretty much. And then my last semester, I worked baseball again just because I enjoyed it so much. And I got to work with KJ again and stuff, so it's nice to have like a familiar face. And,
Sure.
But all of it was a good experience. You take something from everything, and I took one thing at least from every sport.
Yeah, I will say the only one that was kind of like bad was I don't know if you had to do it, but we had to do like a clinical sledding, where you had to go to like the like on campus health clinic, and that was not for us. It's just kind of like a lot of infection, ear stuff.
Oh, you guys had to work that?
Yeah, we had to get like 50 hours or something.
Dang.
And the crappy part is like most of the time, like if the patient didn't want us in the room, they could just say no. So you'd end up sitting there anyways, just doing homework, and it's just like, okay, well, I have to get my 50 hours.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
Did you guys were a part of some cool seasons then, because volleyball is always good.
Yeah.
And then baseball has their years. You guys were a part of a team that went to the had a bid at the World Series, right? In the super regionals or the regional?
I don't think so. I think so.
You didn't?
I was a senior and you were a sophomore.
Yeah.
The year we worked baseball was the year after they won their conference.
Oh, okay.
I think it was Brian Green's last year there. They still, I think they were like 48-20 or something. They had an unbelievable season.
Stacked.
But I think they lost to Sac State in like the semifinals or the finals that year. But yeah, they were really good. I got to work with basketball when they won the WAC and Coach Jan, so that was pretty cool. That was when they had like Jamario Jones, they had Kenny Lofton, like they were good. But those were really the only teams that I worked with that won conference or had a shot at it that year.
Did you get to work basketball?
I didn't.
No.
And kind of they give you like the option to, and I was like, I enjoy basketball and college basketball, but I was like, I don't know if I'd do well like working it. So I was like, I kind of wanted to work with sports that I didn't know a lot about, because like when I worked baseball at first, I didn't know much about baseball, to be honest. And then working it with like Derrick and like all those guys, I like kind of fell in love with it. I didn't even play baseball, but I was baseball's like one of my favorite sports to work.
That's cool.
But like Derrick said, that year that team was stacked because they had KJ, they had Joey Ortiz. They had Nick Gonzalez. I think they were like top 10 in the nation, like offensively.
Yeah, I remember we were working the Yale game and they had 4 outfielders. They moved like their shortstop to the outfield when Nick was hitting.
Really?
Me and Luke were like, what is going on?
It was insane.
I know. It's insane to think when you see something like that, you're just thinking, wow, he's really good for us. Like, how does that compare to the rest of the nation? And it's like, oh, very high up there.
Yeah.
It was
It's crazy. Yeah. Okay, so I wanted to know, like, what are some of the injuries or some of the injuries that maybe were unique or the worst or something you could cite back to and be like, wow, I remember that one.
Yeah. I have a couple. So before I got to Carlsbad, I worked in St. Louis for 3 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, at a high school out there. I remember I was working, I think it was a JV game on like a Tuesday night or something, and this kid goes to make a hip drop tackle, and he's on the ground for a little bit, and finally he turns over and he's like holding his knee, and his like lower leg is just swinging.
Oh,
He snapped both bones in his leg, and I'm like, uh-oh.
dang. So it's just holding on by muscle.
Yeah, pretty much. So I run out there, and this is honestly kind of a learning experience for me because, in school they always teach you, like, you got to check your circulation, check pulse, all that stuff to make sure, blood's still flowing. And so I did all that, and I got it splinted, right? So I call EMS. I'm like, hey, we have, a tib fib fracture, send an ambulance, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, okay, like, did you splint it? I was like, yes, it's already splinted. Like, I'm an athletic trainer. Here's my credentials. They're like, you need to take that off right now. I'm like,
Really?
it's like, absolutely not. Anyways, so
And why was that? Because it wasn't like their
so
exact-
EMTs usually want to do their evaluation as well, which I get. So then they end up splinting. But when we waited 30 minutes on the field before an ambulance showed up.
Wow.
It was horrible. I'm surprised the kid didn't go into shock and pass out. Anyways, EMTs get there, they take off my splint, and then they pick this kid up to get him on the gurney, and like they're not even stabilized. His leg just drops. I'm like, oh man. So that's probably the worst injury
Dang.
I've ever had. I've had a couple ankle dislocations where like the toes are facing the back. A lot of broken forearms. Honestly, that's probably the bigger ones for me. Just when both bones are broken and things are just swinging where they're not supposed to be swinging.
Yeah. Jeez.
They're cool to see, but they're
Really?
Oh yeah, I enjoy that stuff. I don't know
Wow.
about you guys, but seeing stuff like that, it's like, wow, that's cool. We had a kid a couple weeks ago drop weight on his finger, and it looked like hamburger helper. Like it was shredded.
Is he okay? Is he like?
Yeah, he's fine. They got a couple staples in it and everything. He like fractured the tip of his finger, but
And that was it.
yeah. But it was cool to see. You're like, wow, that's awesome. I sent a picture to Luke. I was like, check it out.
He's just like dying in pain. You're just manipulating it.
Yeah, you're like,
"Oh, wait, hold on. I got to get a better picture. What about you?
I'll be honest. I've been a little bit more fortunate than Derrick. I haven't seen anything like super, super crazy yet. But a few things like have happened. Like while I was at college, I worked at the AC, and weekend warriors or whatever. I've seen a lot of people like tear their pec, tear their quad, like all those things. But
Like in the gym or basketball?
in the gym,
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah.
this guy was going for a max, a PR on bench and came down, and then he was trying to get up, and he said he felt a pop, and I looked at it because he was wearing like a cutoff, and it was just like straight mush, just like right here, and I was like, I'm not allowed to do anything like because of liability and stuff, and I was a student, and I was like, you should probably just go to the ER, like in my personal opinion. But this year, I mean, just kind of like a lot of dislocated fingers. We had a ton of dislocated kneecaps for some reason this year that we had to put back. And
Of course, Kale blamed that on us.
I'd never put one back before, and then I did this year, and I was like, "Whoa, that was pretty cool."
That's crazy.
But yeah, nothing.
And what
like,
is it? Just like.
You just kind of like guide it, because it usually goes like to the outside of their leg. So you just kind of put your hand like on the outside, and then just have them straighten their leg, and usually it'll just go back right by itself.
Can you walk like that?
When it's dislocated?
Yeah.
No, because they can't really straighten their leg. But usually, like, the hardest part is just, like, talking the kid down. Like, hey, man, like, it's going to go back, I promise. And then it goes back, and they're like, that initial, like, what the heck? And then they, like, start moving their leg. They're like, oh, okay.
And
not
it's
that
just
bad.
back to normal and you're good.
Yeah, probably a little sore. Kind
Oh.
of depends on if any ligaments or anything get
So
damaged.
no
but
need to go and get it checked, really. Really? Okay. Wow.
rehab it. And I think he missed, like, a couple days of practice, and he was back with a brace, and he was good.
Dumb question. How far can a kneecap go? Can it like go all the way to the back?
I mean, hypothetically speaking, probably, but I think that means like everything's torn. You know,
That's probably more than just that.
Yeah, because you have those 2 ligaments that hold on both sides, and then like your quad's attached, your patellar tendon's attached to it. So like everything would have to be ruptured, and that thing would have to. But even that, I don't know. Which is funny because this year we actually had a pretty gnarly knee injury. Not something that like you look at and it's like, wow, that's crazy. But like we had a kid blow out his knee. Like, blow out. I'm talking like first time I've ever seen this. Like doc even said like this happens in car crashes. Like torn ACL, torn PCL, MCL, LCL, lateral meniscus, medial meniscus.
Wow.
Like everything was blown out. So that was a pretty gruesome one. But you look at it and you're just like, yeah, looks like a fat knee, you know.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy.
Something like that, does that athlete have a return time, or is it like, hey, we're going to go ahead and hang it up?
He does. Fortunately, like they didn't have to do some surgery on some of the ligaments because they were partially torn. But like, for example, if someone actually did blow out all of those, they usually have to go in multiple surgeries just because of the anesthesia. And timetable wise, probably not looking too high, you know. Sure.
Dang. Okay. Wow. All right. So you guys have students on your staff. How is that, and how like helpful is that to you guys on the sidelines? Is it, I mean, of course you're going to say good things and stuff like that, you know, but like what can they bring to the table at the high school level, and how does it help somebody if they want to do that beyond?
I think it definitely helps us a lot, especially for football. Definitely football is like just one of the most like hectic, kind of chaotic kind of environments to be in. And it's kind of one of those things where you're like going to learn or not. Like there's no really time to think about it. And granted, like their responsibilities aren't anything like super, super crazy. But just as far as like paying attention to the game and kind of like being aware of when to go out or when to do this and that, I think like that's a pretty big learning experience.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think kids just like to be a part of it.
Sure.
Like the Friday Night Lights, the student section, you know, all that stuff is fun. And we try to make it fun for them. Other sports like basketball, there's not much for the kids to do because we don't even do that much for basketball. But I think that this year, me and Derrick have kind of been able to organize it a little bit better. Because at first we have students, like I don't know what to do. Never had
We're not
students
very
before.
good teachers. We're very.
Do you guys have to teach a class though?
We
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
yeah. We're like, I don't know. The way we go about our job, it's very chaotic and like unorganized. We like that, you know, and kids are just in our room like left and right, and we're like, we enjoy that.
Yeah.
But then when you go to the teaching aspect, you know, you have to be very organized. Everything has to be lesson plans, all this. We're awful at that. So we're getting the hang of it. We're a little bit better at it this year, but.
Do you do it together?
So depends on right now we don't, just because the facilities with the portable we have, we cannot fit us 2 athletes and, you know, 10 students in there. So we usually split it up, one in the gym, one down in the field house right now. Once the new one's done, we'll be able to do it together.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but yeah, it's nice. We teach them, you know, the basics like of what we taught. You know, they learn anatomy, you know, all of the special tests. They learn about injuries. They learn about rehab. And it's nice because they're in the class. We get a kid who comes in. We can show them like, hey, this is what this looks like. You know, rehab it. What do we do? What do we not do?
Yeah.
So it's cool. Hopefully, it just gives them that. Like if it's something they're interested in, awesome. They can go to school. They kind of have a background in it. If it's not something they're interested in, they still get to learn a thing. Maybe they'll go to nursing school, you know, EMT school.
Yeah.
They'll still have that knowledge. But no, the kids we have are awesome. They're invested. They like it. Like Luke said, they're happy to be a part of it. You know, being on the field's cool for them. You
Yeah.
know, we hook them up with some swag. They get their sports medicine stuff, which is cool. And yeah, so I think they're enjoying it, and it's nice having them. Definitely during football, water, you know, making all that stuff, helping the away team, setting up the field, pregame tapings a lot. So helping out with that's huge.
Yeah.
Especially turf tape. Me and Luke do not do turf tape, so the kids just take charge in that, which is awesome.
What is turf tape?
Like that they wear like on the back.
Oh,
of their
okay.
elbow.
Yeah,
So
don't
they
do
just
turf
line
burn.
it up and
Pretty much, yeah.
Stuff's so stupid.
Yeah, we hate it. We don't do it, but the kids love it. So
it's got to be super sticky and like, right? Because I mean, it just stays on a bending. No.
it's not that sticky, but we have
Really?
a sticky spray that we use.
Oh, okay.
We go through a ton of those cans during football because they're just back there spraying their arms.
And their gloves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they should start.
Okay. You guys are going to get a new facility pretty soon, like you kind of mentioned. have you guys seen it? Have you guys been able to go in there and check it out a little
I
bit?
haven't been able to just because I've been up at the gym. But the last time I went in, I mean, we try to kind of track the progress of it, but it was super nice. New equipment and everything that we're getting. Super pumped about it. And honestly, just the space is going to be so much nicer as opposed to like the portable and like the gym.
Sure.
Because it's like pretty confined. But no, we're really excited. We're actually gonna have some sunlight in our room. We actually have windows this time, so that'll be nice.
Yeah, it's awesome. We finally have a wet room, brand new tables. We actually have an office now, so we can, close the door if we don't want to do anything.
Right. If you guys want to just like scroll. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But no, it's awesome.
Wet room. You don't have one right now? Like there's no running water to your facility?
Well, we do, but we use the term wet room like it's a dedicated space for like ice baths, stuff like that. Like they actually have one in the new room they bought us brand new whirlpools and all that stuff.
Wow.
And we actually have hot and cold water where usually it's just like a hose in the, the portable right now. So.
Okay, cool. And then like for somebody like me, like how do I get in there for the hot tub? I'm just kidding.
Just ask. Just text us.
just let you know.
Yeah.
Do you guys have favorite athletes?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. You're not going to answer who they are.
Yeah. No, we love all of our athletes. Obviously, we have some kids, their favorite that like a couple of the football kids helped me move when I bought my house. So, obviously
they get bumped up on the chart.
Yeah, they're a little higher up.
What about favorite sports to work? What do you guys have?
Like I said earlier, I really enjoy working baseball and softball. Honestly, I think it's just kind of nice to be outside. Football's always fun. It's just, like I said, it's nonstop, go, go, go. And then, it's always fun. And then after you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. Like I didn't even realize it.
Sure.
My favorite sport's basketball. Obviously, I just like basketball in general, so that's always kind of up there. But baseball and softball, I think it's just because it's the spring and it's just like feel good time and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's kind of laid back and kind of chill, and you just kind of get to go out there, spit some seeds, like that kind of stuff.
Oh,
It's nice. Those kind of things are fun.
You just outed yourself spitting seeds on the turf.
No, you got to spit them in a
So
cup.
I'm just letting you guys know if you guys are wondering where those are coming from.
I would say my favorite sport to work is football, just because I like the hustle and bustle of Friday nights. Favorite sport to watch, hands down, is baseball. But I also say, I think it depends on how we're doing, because obviously we're so invested in the kids and the sports. Like, if we're winning, every season's fun. I mean, I don't care if it's badminton. We're into it. And so I think that's definitely part of the reason the spring's so much fun is because track's usually really successful. Softball is, baseball is.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of, and usually if you're really successful, you don't get those bumps and bruises. And so it's just nice for us too. But that definitely baseball's my favorite to watch, just watch.
Yeah. Because you guys, so like as trainers, you guys are fans as you're working, but you're also kind of coaches. Because I remember, when I was in high school, the trainer wasn't really around that often. They kind of just stayed where they were, their office or whatever. And you went to them if you needed them, but it wasn't like, they're checking on you every day and coming out there on their own. But in college, that was very much a part of it. You guys, as students were there and all of that stuff. And I was like, I had one of the reasons that I really enjoyed going to practice and was to just go catch up with my trainers. So shout out to John, Caleb, and Taylor for being awesome at New Mexico State. But yeah, do you guys feel that way? Like you guys are almost coaches and kind of a part of the staff beyond just your medical side?
I feel like we try to bring like that, like what you just said, like that kind of atmosphere to like a high school setting. Cause I get it, like some people are like not as approachable, especially like as athletic trainers. And I think for us, like we just try to show that like we're invested, like we want to be here, like we want to be out on the court, all those things, or like on the field or something like that, give kids high fives and be there to pick them up. And then obviously we're there for them if they're down, you know what I mean? I just think that kind of shows the kids that you care. A little bit more to where like they can kind of trust you a little bit, even if they've never come to see you and it's their first time coming to see you. They're like, oh, well, I see him every day.
Right.
Whether I talk to them or not, they're at practice or they're at the games or those kind of things. So I think that kind of like builds that level of trust with the kids, kind of like subconsciously, even if you're not having a conversation with them every day. So I think that that's important. But like you said, I think it's just one of those things you just kind of have to bring, for the kids to kind of see and just be like, oh, that's who that is,
Yeah,
definitely.
for sure.
And it's funny because me and Luke, like, we could work events separately. Like, hey, we have a baseball game on Saturday. Luke, you're covering that. I'll cover the next one. Me and him were like, no. We both want to be there. We both want to watch our teams play. We're in the high five lines no matter what, win or lose. But yeah, we're invested in the kids. We hope that they win, but at the end of the day, we hope that they're healthy. No one gets hurt. Wins a plus, but we're there for them on or off the field regardless. We have kids come in all the time that just, like you said, they just want to talk to us, just hang out.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll get some stuff, but occasionally they just, hey, I have a free period, wanted to come talk to you, see what's up.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so it's fun. The kids are awesome. They do a good job. They check on us, we check on them, and so it's fun.
We need to get you guys a guest spot at like halftime speeches or like post game speeches. Like, hey, coach, you got anything? And then you come out and just rip them. Like, we got to get that on video. We need something.
It's funny because Zum and Coach Enlow, they occasionally ask us after games or halftime, like, hey, you two got anything to say? And me and Luke just freeze up on the spot.
No. It's funny because like as an athlete, you're just like, okay, I'm just listening. And there's absolutely no investment in like what the coach is saying. Sometimes, sometimes you're into it, but like you're just kind of sitting there like whatever. And so if somebody messes up or stutters, like, you don't even care. But as a coach, you're just like, okay, this is my time. Yeah. It's got to be on. It's hilarious because I've been there and it's more than what it looks like.
It is. And me and Luke I feel like the athletic training profession, it's definitely like behind the scenes, behind the curtain. Like no one ever sees what we do.
Yeah.
And I think when like we get that moment of spotlight, we're just like, I don't know what's going on here. Like I'm not used to this.
Yeah.
And so we kind of just stutter or mess up or something. So it's definitely, they've asked us. We just haven't done it.
Yeah.
Too scared.
You guys got to write one sometime. Just
Moment's
like almost
big.
like a Grammy speech. Just like, thank you guys for being here. I want to thank. All right, so I want to know this. We're in New Mexico. Best and worst road trips from Carlsbad.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I feel like there's a lot of bad ones.
Yeah.
Especially from Carlsbad.
Yeah.
The worst one so far for me was to Farmington for that state playoff game. That was rough.
Yeah,
It's
we
literally
drove-
like corner to corner. Like
What is it? It's like 8 hours.
Yeah, it was something like that.
It was
ridiculous.
That-
You don't realize how far you can go in New Mexico because I'm used to, here's Hobbs, here's Artesia, here's Roswell. It's all kind of like, and then, okay, Cruces, Albuquerque, but then Farmington, it's like.
That was rough, especially because it's like a full day trip. You stay the night there, you play the game, and then you have to drive back right after that game. Oh, that one was rough. Clovis, just a lot of, this side of New Mexico is so rural. Like you're not going to be seeing a lot anyway.
Yeah.
So most of those like 3-4 hour trips that we have to make, all of them are just kind of like, ugh.
Honestly,
Right.
I hate going to Hobbs. Not because it's far, but I hate the Hobbs Highway. Like there's always the oil field guys just, driving off like center lane. And you're like, what's going on? I like going to Cruces, so that drive to me isn't really that bad. From here to El Paso, there's nothing, so it's just put the cruise control on 75, 80. You're there. Plus, you get on delays if you want, Chick-fil-A, all of that stuff, which is good. Roswell's not too bad.
I like
Artesia's
Roswell.
not bad, honestly. 30 minutes. We usually go to all the Artesia games. Hobbs, do not like it. Clovis, don't like it. Anything Albuquerque kind of sucks.
Do you guys drive?
We do. So we take a
Okay.
school Suburban usually.
Okay.
And then we'll take some kids depending on the sport. So
Then
Very
usually if it's like the Rio Rancho tournament, for example, like for baseball, softball, sometimes I'll just take up my own truck because it might be on Easter weekend or something like that. I'll just stay with my parents or something like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's not a big deal. But driving up to Albuquerque, I don't think is too bad, especially if it's for state. Like,
Right.
obviously,
Well, at least
that's
you get
always
like
fun.
it broken up. You can,
Yeah.
go through other towns a little bit. After Roswell, it's
Yeah, between like Roswell and Vaughn, that stretch is miserable. It's
it
like
is.
the Twilight Zone. Everything is just like the exact same, I swear.
Exactly. You guys are both sneakerheads, very much like into that. And you guys can give me like years, models, who you saw wore them, all that stuff. Give me your, top three. Can you give me your top three best basketball shoe? And maybe the worst basketball shoe.
I don't know about top 3 because honestly, I think there's just. Actually, I can give you 3.
Okay, let's go for it. Top 3.
Number 1, definitely the hyper dunks. Like what is it? 2011, 2010 hyper dunks. Hands down, best shoe, in my opinion. I would probably have to go with the hyper fuses next. Probably like the 2013, 2014 hyper fuses.
Okay.
And then my third, actually the old KGs, like the
Really? Adidas?
Yeah, I used to have a blue pair of those. I know they were in green because the Celtics, but I had a blue pair back in the day. Absolutely love those ones. Those would be my top 3.
Okay.
I had so many basketball shoes growing up. It's
You
not
got a
even-
ton to choose from.
Yeah, it's not even funny. I still have them back at my house to this day. One of my favorite pairs I wore like to the ground. They were like a team Jordan. I think they were like the 2013. I think they were just called like Air Jordan 2013 or something like that. I'd have to check. But they were like all blue. Wore them so much. I tore through them. Never got to wear them again, which I was sad about. I had a lot of Kobe's. The Kobe 7s. Those ones were my favorite. I just had a black pair that I wore a lot too. And then same thing, like Derrick said, Hyper Dunks. I don't know how many models of them. I still have a model at my apartment right now that I play to wear.
Oh, cool.
Or wear to play. The 2017s that I'm wearing right now, those actually might be my favorite shoe right now. They're super comfortable. But that's just a fraction. I have too many to
Luke's
think
more
of.
of a sneakerhead than I am.
Really?
This guy's
Okay.
closet is just all shoes.
crazy.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because, like, and I got to add you to it, but I always send him stuff that I see on, different shoes or, like, new releases or whatever. And I'm like, check these out or whatever. Or I post them and we talk about them for my story. But, yeah.
Yeah, no, Luke's
Yeah.
the type of guy, like, he won't hang his laundry, but you best bet that his sneakers are perfectly organized in, on a bookshelf or something.
Sure.
They're all on shelves. They're nice
Yeah.
and clean.
Yeah. Okay. And then what about worst? What are, like, the worst or most overrated? Either one.
Honestly, I think, like, the 2015 LeBrons, I wasn't a fan of those. I thought they were overrated, in my
Okay.
opinion. They were really bulky to me for some reason.
When I think of bulky, I think of the Adidas Kobe's that were just like a big capsule.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I think they came in like a metal case. They
Yeah,
were
it
like
was
futuristic.
They
and
had like some kind of weird packaging.
Yeah.
Because they look like space shoes. Like
Yeah,
they straight up look
uh-huh.
like moon boots.
Yeah.
Overrated. Pair I didn't like. Dang, that's tough. I did have a pair of old Kobe's. They're called the Crazy Eights. And honestly, I just wore them because they look cool.
Oh, those were
But
Adidas then.
Yeah. Those shoes were so heavy and so like clunky. And
They are cool looking though.
They did look cool.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, my feet were killing me after the games. They were terrible.
Yeah.
Or I had Hyperdunk like from 2015. They were like kind of like those really high top ones when they started
Sure.
making those. I got so many blisters from those. Those were miserable. I had to give those away. But yeah, those
Yeah.
two. Those ones
Okay.
were rough.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, I wanted to jump into the sneakers because I knew you guys are big into that and all that. So, but thank you guys for being on. I appreciate it. I learned a lot. And you guys, what you guys do is super important beyond just like keeping people healthy. And I know you guys know that, but like I see it and I know a lot of kids talk about it. So you guys are making an impact for sure.
Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.